What's up, you guys? Teddy Striker here, and this Saturday is finally the UFC White House card, a card that's been hyped for almost a year, it feels like, and it's main evented by Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje, but everybody seems to be writing Justin Gaethje's obituary and seems to think that he has no chance of beating Ilia Topuria, and Ilia Topuria himself has actually made a funeral for Justin Gaethje in preparation of this fight. And now, if you ask me, that seems like bad omen that you're putting out there, but Ilia Topuria has done something similar in the past, not to this extent, but he is a massive favorite going into this one. And in this video, I want to talk to you guys about how I think Justin Gaethje can beat Ilia Topuria. I'm building a game plan for Justin Gaethje to win. This is not my prediction. I'm not saying that Justin Gaethje is going to win this fight, but if you're interested in my prediction, and if you're interested to find out how Cyril Gane beats Alex Pereira, make sure you guys stay tuned because that's coming later this week. But with all that being said, let's get right into the first key to victory I have for Justin Gaethje to beat Ilia Topuria, and that is when Justin Gaethje fought Paddy Pimblett and he beat him. He said that champions move forward, and that's the attitude he had in the fight. And afterwards, he talked about how he plans on doing it more. And I talked about how it kind of makes sense that, like, you see a lot of the high-level champions, they usually move forward, but against a guy like Ilia Topuria, it almost makes his job a lot easier because you're going to be walking into his punches like Oliveira, because he's going to be looking to come forward as well, and you walk forward into him, that's just going to create a collision and you can potentially get knocked out. So I think for Justin Gaethje, it would be very wise to play the matador early, be like ole ole, and then make him miss. And this also helps you get his timing, get his range. You want to get a feel for his punches, because later on, like in this game plan, we're going to capitalize on that. So early on, sit on your bike early, like move away from him, use your jab. And also, Ilia Topuria is kind of like expecting you a little bit to come forward because of how Justin Gaethje was saying that champions move forward, and he's saying that that's going to be his approach from now on.
You mentioned you're going to knock him out in 2 minutes.
Yeah. If he's going to do what he's been saying, that he's going to try to move forward and all that, that's all I need. That's all I need. Like, just try to move forward. And I'm gonna have half of the job already done, because all I need from my opponents always is to have them against the wall, or just stop them and to start exchanging the punches. If he's gonna try to move forward, I'm gonna knock him out like in the first minute and the second minute.
And Ilia Topuria showed that he can do that in the Charles Oliveira fight. And early on, like Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski were actually having success by getting Ilia Topuria to miss, using their footwork, getting away from him, and then like eventually like try to make him pay. But they couldn't really do that as well because Ilia was able to stop them as the fight went on. But they were having success, like moving away, getting him to reach a little bit, and that is going to be beneficial for other parts of the game plan. But being the matador, using the jab also to pull him into you and frustrate him can easily, like, again, pull him into bigger shots as the fight goes on. And the reason why I'm saying be the matador early is because you don't want to just be constantly backing up the whole fight against Topuria. But early on, as you're like kind of starting to like slow him down and damage him, move away from him. Don't really like go forward as you did against Paddy, because he was a little bit sloppy, he was getting hit, and he wasn't as responsible. But if he's able to move around like he did against Tony Ferguson, using that forward, I think he's going to have a lot of success early on and not get caught by Ilia. But moving on to the next key territory I have for Justin Gaethje, and that is of course, we all know about Ilia Topuria's stance and how he likes to be heavy on his lead leg, and he's got that sort of boxing style. And going for the calf kicks is a no-brainer for Justin Gaethje. It's an absolute must in this strategy if he wants to win. And targeting the calf is a quick way to shut down the leg of Ilia Topuria and also neutralize his boxing. He's heavy on his lead leg again, and that, like the calf kick, like it neutralizes it really quick. And Gaethje's got some powerful leg kicks, but he has to set up the kicks. He can't just throw them naked, because Ilia Topuria is going to be ready for this. He's been preparing for Justin Gaethje for a while, and he knows the threat of Justin Gaethje. So Gaethje has to get attention away from the leg kicks and maybe divert it, maybe to a jab, maybe to some heavy feints after you landing some good shots, and then look to land your leg kicks. But moving on to the next key trait I have for Justin Gaethje, and that is Ilia Topuria usually fights a very clean fight. He's got an incredible stance and he usually stays in a very strong position, always ready to attack and ready to take his opponent's heads off, and that is phenomenal for him. But for Justin Gaethje, he's got to make it a little bit dirty. He can't fight a clean fight with a guy like Topuria, and I think mixing up and like making it a little bit of a dirty fight, dirty boxing is going to be great for him, like getting some collar ties and looking for uppercuts or maybe even like some elbows up close or knees. But this strategy isn't just good offensively, it's also good defensively, because whenever Topuria is going to be loading up and trying to, again, decapitate you, you can look to clinch up and smother the power puncher, look to frustrate him further, and also you're going to be already a moving target by being the matador. But now, like, anytime he does actually get in close, you're going to tie him up and kind of like rough him up on the inside, and you really don't want to stay in that like that mid zone. Like Jorge Masvidal talked about this on his podcast, but you don't want to be in that danger zone with Ilia, like kind of that mid range. You want to be on the outside, like using your footwork, using your leg kicks early, and when he does get in close, that's when you smother him, look to get some collar ties, look to get some quick shots off, kind of break his posture, and then get out and back into range. So I think dirty boxing, smothering the power punches of Ilia is going to be a great and successful tactic that Justin Gaethje can use. But moving on to another key trait I have for Justin Gaethje, and that is
and then I would also want him to punch with Ilia. So when Ilia goes, he has to go same time if he wants to catch him. And like, I think his best shot at catching him is catching him in between Ilia's exchanges. I think Ilia has too sharp eyes for Justin to lead and catch him. I don't think Justin's going to lead and end up catching Ilia.
Ilia Topuria has some of the fastest and most powerful hands in the UFC, no doubt. But when he punches that fast and with so much power, sometimes he does drop his hands, and his hands, like maybe he'll throw like a right overhand, but his left hand is not covering his chin, or maybe he'll throw a left hook and his right hand is not covering his chin, and that leaves openings in the guard of Topuria. And also that's how Jai Herbert was able to drop him, because Ilia threw a massive right hand, then he goes to throw a left hook, but his right hand is nowhere to be seen and he gets dropped. And this isn't the only time it's happened. Actually, in the knockout sequence when he knocked out Jai Herbert, he throws a right overhand and then throws a left hook to the body, but as he throws that shot, Jai Herbert catches him with a clean left hook right on the jaw, but it had no effect. Topuria was so committed and he had so much intent in that overhand that he just ended up eating it, and he threw everything into the follow-up right hand, and Herbert just couldn't take it. And the thing is, Ilia Topuria has been open to intercepting counters in all of his fights because of the way he trains. Like when you see him train, he doesn't really train to bring those hands back up to his face. He prioritizes speed and power, but that comes at a cost of fundamentals, and that split second where his hand is not covering his face could be the difference for Justin Gaethje knocking him out versus not knocking him out. And again, yeah, like it's been a pattern in most of his fights. Like that's why he hasn't fixed it, because his opponents haven't really been able to punish him like consistently. Like yes, Jai Herbert dropped him, but he was still able to go out there and get the win. But yeah, like whenever he extends his combinations or maybe he throws like a 1-2, he is vulnerable to that. And if you're able to beat the matador early and not really throw and like kind of let him come forward onto you and get him to open up, and like you get a sense of the timing, and eventually as you get a sense of the timing, you can start to punch with him, just like Eddie Alvarez was talking about. So you can look to catch Ilia Topuria in between his exchanges. because he's also the faster guy. Like, Gaethje knows that Topuria is faster, so if he tries a regular, like, okay, let me just, like, defend the shot and then try to counter him, that might not always work because Ilia Topuria is fast. He does have some slick defense as well, but if you're able to catch him as he's throwing, you're probably going to hurt him a lot more because he will not be expecting that.
Does a very good job of controlling distance. His footwork is special, and that's going to be the biggest task for me, is to control his feet and control distance and not let him, you know, find those power shots. There's no doubt he hits hard, and I obviously hit hard as well, but timing is everything. The reason his shots are so effective is because his timing is so perfect, and I'm going to have to disrupt that timing.
So Justin Gaethje has to time his shots and make sure he catches Ilia Topuria when he is vulnerable. But moving on to the next key territory I have for Justin Gaethje, and that is Justin Gaethje actually has some pretty good kicks. Like, he doesn't like he's not a kick heavy fighter, but he has some really solid kicks in his back pocket. He's obviously got the great leg kicks. He's got some sneaky head kicks as well that he used to knock out Dustin Poirier with. And I think in this fight, I think he's going to have to show his kicks a little bit more against Ilia Topuria. In the clip I showed earlier of Justin Gaethje talking about timing and how he's going to have to disrupt the timing of Ilia Topuria, I feel like this adds to that. Like, what better way to disrupt the boxer than to throw a kick? Because whoever you are, you still have to respect the kick. Like, the kick, like, any kick is just like so powerful, and you have to respect that thing that if Justin Gaethje is able to start with his combinations and then end with the kicks, I think he will be able to, like, throw Ilia Topuria off guard a little bit and get Topuria a little bit confused about how to counter him. Like, maybe if he's able to, like, throw some, like, left hooks to, like, low kicks, or maybe even throw some body kicks in there to end your combinations, and obviously ending your combinations with head kicks. Like, maybe if you start to see Ilia Topuria, like, start to shoulder roll a little bit, like, too much, maybe you can throw, like, a fake right hand into a right head kick so that it catches the back of his head, and that's not legal. Like, the dude is turning his head into your shin. Like, I remember when Jamal Hill fought Glover Teixeira, like, his foot was actually catching the back of Glover's head, and that was really hurting him bad. And I think Justin Gaethje can look to wrap his leg around Topuria's, like, the back of his head, especially if he starts to do the shoulder roll, like, defense, to, like, move away from the right hands of Gaethje. Like, if you can, like, start to, like, back him up with your combinations and then look to end it with a head kick, I think that will definitely hurt Ilia Topuria. And of course, Jar Herbert was able to hurt him because he threw a punch into a left head kick that completely caught Ilia Topuria off guard and nearly knocked him out. So I think this is a great strategy to use for Justin Gaethje, not only to disrupt the timing of Ilia, but to potentially score a knockout. But moving on to another key territory I have for Justin Gaethje, and that is so in this clip that you're currently seeing, Ilia Topuria's brother Alexandre is explaining to Ilia that Justin Gaethje is very vulnerable when Justin Gaethje throws punches, because he throws, like, a lot into his punches and he doesn't really, like, hit clean. He throws and swings, like, wide, and that leaves openings. And it's kind of like Alexandre is kind of telling Ilia that if you want to get a clean shot at, like, putting Gaethje to sleep, you almost have to do some intercepting counters. And that's exactly what we talked about as a key territory for Justin Gaethje, because they're saying that Gaethje is a little bit sloppy and that he doesn't have the cleanest technique and he leaves himself open when he throws. But Gaethje, again, like, when I talked about him, I said that he has to kind of get the timing of Ilia, and then once he gets the timing, then that's when you can look for your intercepting counters. But in the meantime, you should still look to tighten up your shots, because they already know and they're kind of expecting you to be wild and awkward, and they're expecting you to almost go first and then look to counter you. But we've talked about how you can, like, dirty box as well to kind of like help avoid this issue of, like, kind of leaving yourself open. But another way to solve this issue is to throw tighter shots. You don't need to swing big, wide shots every single time because you're going to leave yourself open. And once you leave yourself open against a guy like Topuria, it won't be long before you start going to sleep. And especially in Gaethje's last fight against Paddy, like, he did not look great. Like, he did have staph infection on his neck and he did look a lot bigger, and like, he just looked a little bit sloppy, but it still worked against a guy like Paddy because of his counter ability. And also, he doesn't have the tightest shots, so he's not able to hit Gaethje clean. Like, he's hitting him with like the palm side of his hand instead of hitting with the knuckles. And a guy like Topuria, he does hit with the knuckles. Like, and so again, if you're like having these big wide shots, like, the cleaner guy is going to get to the target first. And again, like, with that technique, he's probably going to sleep you. So keeping the shots tight, like, not only for your offense but also defensively, because Team Topuria is already planning on capitalizing on your wide shots. You got to keep it clean. And again, this is going to be very important for Gaethje to win this fight. But moving on to the last key to I have for Justin Gaethje, and that's going to be in Justin Gaethje's last fight. He was often getting hit by shots that he probably shouldn't have been taking. Like, it felt like Gaethje could have easily defended those shots. But as he put it, Paddy Pimblett hits like a... But Ilia Topuria definitely does not hit like that. Once he hits you, he can erase you, and you need to be a lot more defensively responsible. And the thing is, Justin Gaethje has shown this ability in the past against Rafael Fiziev. He was very slick. He was defensively responsible. And again, he was allowing his feet, like, keeping the hands up and, like, avoiding the power, like, pivoting away. Just really slick. And I think he's going to need to bring that back. Like, we've talked about how he needs to be the matador in this one. We talked about how he can dirty box, but also just making sure you're staying defensively responsible, like, just in general. And then once you're on the attack, when you punch, because Topuria is going to be trigger happy. Like, whenever he sees you try to attack him, he's going to look to counter you with, like, an overhand right, maybe a left hook. And yeah, like, you need to be proactively aware that a threat is going to be potentially coming your way. But that is it for my key switch for Justin Gaethje to beat Ilia Topuria. And obviously, he's going to need to do a lot more. He's got a very difficult opponent he's got to beat to finally become the undisputed champion. But let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think Justin Gaethje can actually pull this off, and can he finally become the undisputed lightweight champion? But with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. God bless. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Stay tuned, because I'm going to be dropping a how Ciryl Gane beats Alex Pereira video pretty soon, and also a prediction for all the fights on the UFC White House card. But I will see you in the next one.
Peace in our time.